What is emotional labor? Emotional labor is a social task where individuals suppress their true emotions with other emotions to satisfy other people. Emotional labor often occurs in situations where they are needed to act with accordance to their professions and roles in the workplace settings in order to attain professional objectives and adapt to job requirements where their expectations are usually openly outlined.
Emotional labor also occurs when people are needed to follow the society's expectations and views on a specific role. The roles are expected to serve, please, satisfy others to create a positive and fair mood for a situation. How do people experience emotional labor? Emotional labor are forms of how a person projects their emotions in a specific situation. Emotional labor includes two types of acting that involves a person's emotions, which is surface acting and deep acting. The first one is surface acting. Surface acting are done when people pretend and fake their emotions, where they will hide the emotions by using body language and verbal communication. For example, when dealing with customers, they will smile and use soft tones when talking to others. On the other hand, deep acting is done when a person projects other emotions instead of their real emotions. They will control their real emotion while convincing that they are feeling a certain emotion instead of their real emotion.
Who experience emotional labor? Employees who work in service-oriented jobs like flight attendants, customer service workers, and hotel workers are those who experience emotional labor. Emotional labor happens in workplace where they must always display positive emotions and attitude when dealing with difficult customers and must comply with the rules and regulations that are set by the organization, although there is a conflict of emotions.
Within the manufacturing arena, the term task interdependence describes the manner in which different business units are reliant upon one another during the production phase. Pull, reciprocal, and sequential relationships are the three types of interdependence relationships. Okay, firstly is pull. Pull interdependence occurs when two individuals function with relative interdependence, but their combined output contributes to the group's or organization's overall goals. Moreover, pull interdependence is when the team accomplishes tasks simply by combining everyone's separate effort. Pull interdependence is an effective design when your team members are doing the same task in parallel or are doing part of a task that can easily be combined to achieve the overall task. Okay, this interdependence works well when the task can be standardized. For an example of pull interdependence would be if an assembly shop had a number of employees, each working alone to assemble radios.
The second level of task interdependence is sequential. When one unit in the overall process generates an output that is required for the following unit's performance, this is known as sequential interdependence. The output of one person becomes the input for the next person in the chain. When some portions of the team's activity can be standardized, but other parts need to be updated or customized based on the situation or client, sequential interdependence is an effective design. In a sales team with sequential interdependence, for example, an employee might qualify a client and then the employee discuss and agree on how they might best handle the client's demands. After that, the personnel meet with the client to discuss the task to be done. After that, the employee meets with the customer to discuss any changes that need to be made to the standard agreement, and the client signs it. In sequential dependency, each person must finish his or her task before moving on to the next in the series. The third level of task interdependence is reciprocal. Reciprocal interdependence is similar to sequential interdependence in that one department's output becomes the input of another, but it's also cyclical. the departments of an organization are at their most interconnected in this paradigm. Reciprocal models are the most complicated and difficult to govern because one unit can modify rules at any time, affecting everyone else. Reciprocal interdependence occurs when individuals of your teams are sequentially dependent but also collaborate. As the situation evolves, team members must adjust to each other's actions. A hockey team, for example, has reciprocal reliance. When the nature of the teamwork is intrinsically uncertain, or when the team works in an atmosphere where they must respond to changes from customers or management in the middle of a project, this is a successful design.
Thank you to the previous presenters. Moving on to answering question 3, we did not agree with the statement because women can be as compatible as men in terms of leadership. In simple words, effective staff of leadership did not depend on types of gender as both gender have the same efforts to manage as a leader. According to Powell 1990, he claims that gender differences in leadership are irrelevant because when looking back at the study as a whole, both genders engage in similar quantities of task and relationship-oriented behaviors. Gender is not the cause of ineffectiveness of leadership style, and rather, it is due to behavior and the situation in managing the task. Stereotyping is at the roots of why gender is generally seen as the most important indicator of leadership style. Valentine and Goldkin 2000, for example, cite a large body of research suggesting that socially induced assumptions about masculinity and femininity harm women's credibility as leaders. Female had been stereotyped on whenever they hold the position of being a leader, in which affecting on how they behave as being constantly compared to male style of leadership. However, female leaders today may be stereotyped as their strength in proving themselves as a leader. According to research data made by Jack Zinger and Joseph Volkman, women leadership had been rated in terms of taking initiative, acting with resilience, and demonstrating great and integrity honesty. Some examples can be seen through how a female leader handled recent pandemic. Taking New Zealand for example, it had experienced 24 days without a single case of COVID-19, thanks to the immediate action made by their Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. Quick initiative of identifying their country's first case and its origin, she decided to ban the foreigners that comes from China and Iran. Other than having prompt action with the mindset of eliminating COVID-19, that is why she ordered for the restriction for everyone, including the New Zealanders, to withdraw into self-isolation upon arrival in the country. Hence, this shows on being goal-oriented leader is what drives for them to do things to achieve their goals and to being seen as a great leader with effective planning. That's all from me. Continue with the next presenter.
Thank you to our previous presenter, Nasha. Now, I will tell you more about how effective this leadership style in women. In supportive leadership, most women are not so interested in giving orders and managing every details as in giving employees the tools they need to work on themselves. While delegation is a vital part of supportive leadership, they do not simply assign tasks and then receive the results. Instead, they work through the task with employees to improve skills and talent until she does not need to worry about a task being done correctly and the employee is fully empowered in a particular area. Supportive leadership styles are also defined by their approach to emotions, training, and time. Supportive leaders, especially women, listen carefully to their employees and help them deal with stress and the conflicting personalities of other employees. This requires empathy and a degree of sensitivity that is difficult for some managers to achieve. Supportive leaders then train employees to deal with issues themselves as they arise, relying on the leader when necessary, but dealing with the problems themselves as much as possible. This also requires significant time investment by the leader. Generally, there are 5 key abilities of supportive leadership.
And firstly is the ability to prioritize. It is vital to identify key priorities and communicate them effectively to the team so they understand what needs to be achieved and why. A supportive leader will be able to explain and engage an employee in the need of a project and to show support through the completion. Next is the ability to empower and inspire. It is not always easy to know how to inspire teams and individuals, but by the nature of being supportive, a leader can motivate through empowerment and demonstrating trust. By enabling employees to take ownership and by encouraging individuals to try combine with being honest can create loyalty, confidence and high productivity as employees have a clear understanding of the need and expectation. The ability to communicate. Leaders can often assume their teams know and understand what is required, yet poor communication can lead to many numerous working issues and misunderstandings. Learning and implementing different methods of communication can quickly turn an underperforming team into a productive and engaged team. Meanwhile, the ability to accept mistakes is when a supportive leader is not only able to accept that mistakes and failures do happen, but we also have the type of relationship with your employees which creates an open dialogue for individuals to feel safe within to learn from mistakes and grow. And lastly, the ability to make oneself available. Being accessible to employees when required can help foster an underlying safety blanket whereby then they know they can ask for support when needed and they will be taken seriously. Being able to empathize at certain times and provide relevant support and direction will aid loyalty, encourage success and employee retention. Well, being a supportive leader is not just about being there for your direct reports, but the senior leadership team also needs to be supportive of each other, helping and boosting each other when needed. But it can be often challenging for leaders to focus on this or even see the benefits of being consistently supportive when there are so many other activities to juggle. It has a positive impact on productivity and team morale when leaders pull together to acknowledge the strengths, fill the gaps, agree consistent approaches and learn together. I think that is all from our group. Thank you for watching everyone.